you hear bits and pieces. There is a liberation going on. The Germans, the Americans coming in and all this. This is when Hitler ran away, and his people all went up into the mountains in Berchtesgaden. This where Hitler had his retreat, where he was always hiding out. But we heard liberation, and people got, whoa, the war is over, and whatever. But a lot of the German soldiers were taken into the prison camps, and they had a hard time because, you know, the Americans hated them. But those poor guys, they had to go out. They had to go out and fight according to what the military, according to what the government said to those days in Germany. And Hitler was a lunatic. He was a nobody. But you couldn't say that to those days. Mm-hmm. He came from Austria, by the way. He wasn't even a German. He was Austrian. And he made his way into Germany. And he started all that. He started it because Germany's economy in 1933 was not very good. And Hitler made his way in. He was clever in a certain way. He built the Autobahn, and he built lots of stuff, and people were able to have work, and everything was fine until 1939. He decided, oh, why not go and conquer the world? I'm sure you girls have heard other people who tried to conquer the world, like Napoleon. He was going out, right? He conquered the world all right until he went to Russia. And the people all froze to death because Russia locked up Moscow and they couldn't get in. So that has nothing to do with this now. I'm just throwing that in to make you aware. So there are people in living who are trying to conquer. Well, look what Russia is trying to do now. Now Russia wants to take the Ukraine. This is another problem we're fighting. The Ukraine has now a civil war going on because a little part of Ukraine wants to be Russian again, the other part wants to be German or European. So there's another one. It doesn't end. It doesn't end, this whole thing. Why people are trying to be so powerful, and you know, it's hard to understand. The human nature is really, I don't know, all screwed up those days. Maybe it was not any different in the olden days, way back in the Middle Ages. Everybody wanted to have the power. They always went after the little people and the power, and they fought each other and took stuff from each other. It goes like that for generations. Maybe someday that will all stop. Wouldn't that be great?
All right. Can we ask you some questions?
Yeah, okay, go ahead, honey.
Were you aware of the Holocaust?
No.
No?
We girls, we didn't know the Holocaust. That was all done secretly. We didn't know. Sit there with the many Jewish people. Now, we knew Jewish people. My dad, your grandfather, your great-grandfather, Opa is your grandfather, your great-grandfather, he knew something was going on with the Jewish people. So he was able to get some of the Jewish people out of the country of Germany. He sent them to Holland, and from there they were able to go to over here. That's all we knew. And I only know that now as an adult because when I was older, and they told us when I was a teenager, and they told us in school about the Holocaust, then my father would open up and said he did that because he put his life in jeopardy. Mm-hmm. If somebody would have found out, he's gone. But he could not see what was happening to the Jewish people. And some of the Jewish people were extremely smart, artists, painters, rich. And I don't know why they wanted to destroy the Jewish people. They wanted to have a race that was totally pure. And who is doing the same thing now? who is trying to destroy the Jewish people? It's Iran. Iran keeps saying the Jewish people have to get wiped off from the face of the earth. You guys don't know that? They don't tell you that in school? Of course not, because you don't have enough, you don't get enough, you don't know enough about it. Iran is trying to do that. And Netanyahu, he says there's no way in hell they're going to get the Jewish. And I don't know what's wrong with why people are so against Jewish people. The Jewish people have been there from the very beginning. From the very beginning. Don't tell all that stuff in the newspapers. Just give it to your teacher. I don't want to get a phone call and say, lady, what's wrong with you? But no, what's wrong with me is that I do not understand why people dislike the Jewish people so much. I don't get it. I don't get it. Those Jewish people were there from the beginning. Jesus was a Jew. So what's wrong with all those people? I don't get it, you know? Gee, I don't get it. I see, this is why I get headaches. I am always into this, trying to make the world a safer place. How can I do it? I don't have a gun. I don't have ammunition. I only read and talk and remember what has happened to me in my little life. Now it's not little anymore. I'm pretty old, but I like to see everything peaceful. I'm 76 years old. I don't want anybody else like Russia taking Ukraine. I don't want people fighting with each other.
Do you think that has to do with because how your young life was brought up, because you were brought up during the war, that's why you want like peace now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted peace all along. I think this is would be a wonderful thing if we could all live in peace. But it's I don't know. It's human nature, I guess. It's the power. People want to have the power, and they do all kind of crazy things. Now your family, Italy.
I know, we're interviewing Grandma.
Italy.
Yeah, we're interviewing
Mussolini.
Grandma.
Yeah, Mussolini.
I talked to her. She said that she had really bad.
Oh, she feels bad. Her and I were in the same boat.
She said
I was German, she's Italian.
Lived in a bug shelter, and she had bugs crawling all over her. She couldn't shower for like months.
She what?
She couldn't shower for like a long periods of time. So she had like where she was living to was really bad.
That wasn't the worst part. If you can't shower for a while, the worst part was that you couldn't have food. Most of the children were so little. They had no food. They had no milk. They had nothing. And I was lucky that my grandparents had big farms down by the Danube, on the eastern part of Bavaria, like on the Danube. And this is really, really beautiful farmland. And I spent a lot of time there, so I was very lucky.
Are those all the pictures in your house?
Pardon me?
Are those all the pictures in your house?
I got the pictures of your great-great-grandparents at home. You can have them. Somebody wants to inherit them. Auntie Karen took some of them, and she had doubles made, and she had them one time in her big house in the living room. My grandmother is your great-grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother's name is Francesca, and her mother's name, I don't remember. It's written down on the picture. I think it was Anna. So that would be my great-grandmother, and her mother is there also. That would be my great-great-great-grandmother. And I got that picture, and that goes back. That photography was taken in 1835, because I figured it out the other day. My great-great-great-grandmother would be like 150 years or more old. I give it to you.
All right.
Because it's
I have some other questions.
Go ahead. Yeah, keep
what
on watching.
was the atmosphere in Germany? Like, what was it like in Germany at the time? So it was just really scary.
Before the war, Germany was fine, economy, everything was, the middle class was good. As soon Poland was taken, misery started. As soon Hitler attacked Poland in 1939, Germany was living hell. That's what it was. For the people who had to go out to be soldiers, for the mothers and the children who were left behind, it was living hell. It really was. It's amazing we all survived. Well, we survived because the underground people, you know, the people from England and all those places, they were doing the underground. They were trying to find out how you can get rid of some of the German people. And there's some stuff in there. We should take a look through it. There's some interesting stuff in there, but you're going to get bored after a while, probably. You won't get bored when I tell you, when I didn't have any. I never knew what a banana was until I was 10 years old. There was nothing. Sugar, a candy, wow! My mom had good jewelry and fur coats and all kind of stuff, so my mom would sell to some of the people some of her stuff, and they would give her in return. Actually, those were the American soldiers who came in for liberation, and now the American soldiers weren't all that angels either. They came in and they stole a lot of stuff. And so my mom would sell her fur coat or jewelry to the American soldiers, and they were able to get food from the American, it's called PX, a special place, and they would bring candy. And we got candy. Oh my God, it was so good.
What was your scariest moment?
The scariest moment is the one sitting down in the shelter not knowing if you're going to get out alive. And sometimes when you were down there, the pipes you get through, like you have down, the pipes will bust, and there's hot water in it, and you can drown. That was scary. That was always scary. As soon it got, you started getting sick to your stomach, and your heart was shaking, and you felt like I gotta throw up. And my mother was only 30. She was not even 30 years old. That's young. Well, I was not even in first grade yet until a little bit later. So the mothers were scared for their children. That was the scariest moment. And not knowing exactly where your father is, where is he out in the front, and all this sort of thing. And this is the scariest moment, not knowing what is going to happen to you when you basically in a shelter and not knowing when you come out who is there and who isn't. That was the scariest moment, and that is really scary. It's just like when you go to the dentist and you're going to get a tooth out. This is how you're shaken, and so you don't know. And then, well, that's exactly what it is. This is the feeling, you know. You're scared and you say, oh my God. And every time you hear that boom, boom, and the house is shaking, and you have no idea. I would look at my mom, and my mom always said, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. Well, it's easy to say. I was not that one of those children who wouldn't worry. I was worried even for my little sister. So, and my mom too, and I would hold on to my mom. Even my sister was always asleep. She doesn't remember anything anymore, but she's dead for so long now. But anyway, that definitely was the scariest part, not knowing what's going to happen when you're down, locked up in a shelter, and things around you is airplanes going back and forth and back and forth. That's very, very scary. The other scary moment is the one when I had to go home from school and I was told, do not walk out in the open. If you go home, you go lay down in the ditch. And then the dog scared me.
When did you move to the U.S. and how was it
I moved to the U.S. in oh my God, Grandpa and I were talking about that the other way. 1960.
Was it weird being German?
No,
No, it
No,
wasn't. It was
no.
fine.
no, it was
Alright.
fun.
So it was. There was nothing
It's
like
German
from the war
is-
that
no.
affected you.
No,
Being
didn't
German
affect
in the
me in
U.S.
any-
No.
No, nobody bought it. Nobody said, "Oh, you're German." No, no, no. Germany became after all the war was over and everything. Germany is very, very. Um, uh, People who are very busy, very hardworking in Germany was rebuilt and redone in no time at all. When I go home to Germany, the beautiful museum, the beautiful buildings, it's just like it was when I was a little kid. And some of those buildings were 700-800 years old because Munich was founded 1100 and wait a minute now. 1980. Well, Munich was founded 800 years ago. 800 years ago. So some of those buildings in Munich were 800 years old. But I'm trying to figure out.
What was it like after the war in Germany? Like once the war ended, what was it like in Germany?
Building up easily. People were going back. Well, first when the war was over, there was no work because there was no buildings, there was no factories, there was none of that. So people started doing little things like I remember when I was little, one of my great uncles, he was like a carpenter, he made us beautiful little wooden things from whatever was left there. From after the war, there were some leftover wood or anything if some of the houses didn't totally burn down. He would make those little baby things. You rock the baby with it. What is it? A
cradle.
A cradle. Yeah, he would do things like cradle. My great aunts, they would knit stuff like sweaters for me. They didn't have wool. You couldn't buy that yet. It was little. When the war was over, it took Germany about 10 years to be able to do what they like to do. But everybody was doing something. And after 10 years, it was pretty much back to normal.
Okay, so when the Americans came into the country for Reconstruction, did you feel resentful toward them since you had just been in a war with them?
No.
No? Okay.
No. We were very grateful that they were coming and helping out.
Okay, that's good. How is going through this, how has it influenced your life today? Like, how have you been affected from it?
Physically, I'm not affected, as you can tell. I have all my limbs and all my hands and all my feet because that was another thing you could have lost when you were in the shelter. Physically, no. Mentally, maybe sometimes when I think about it, what it was like. But not to the point that I would be not able to be a normal person. It didn't affect me that much. It affected me as long as I was there in Germany. I was always a wreck until everything was liberated. Of course, I lived through it. But coming here, no, I do not show any sign of anything. Maybe my accent, since my English is not that great. I still have the German accent, well, the Bavarian. The other bad thing was in Germany, when the war was up there, the Americans did not go up to the northern part of Germany that much. That was the Russian. The Russians took all of the northern part of Germany, the North Sea, and all that sort of thing. And they would take children and take them away, just like those kids who just got handicapped in Africa. They would take them away to Siberia or whatever. But now